Harvest can be unintuitive, but it's actually quite simple. Let's break it down. In every zone, we collect seeds from harvest pods, which we will subsequently plant next to a collector. Once planted, these seeds will grow each time we collect seeds in a zone from these pods. Various seed tiers and types take different amounts of time to grow, but for the most part, it's no worry because Oshabi will tell you when the fields are ready to be harvested in the bottom right. Killing monsters in the garden can drop seeds of the next highest tier, so through a series of planting and harvesting of many seeds, eventually one can drop the highest tier seed. Now you notice each seed higher than T1 have special requirements. This is where confusion often arises, but it's actually quite simple. These requirements are the only reason storage tanks and dispensers even exist, and these requirements can be taken care of by taking a few minutes to set up a designated collector of each respective type for farming T2 through T4 seeds. There are many supposed best farming setups that have been posted to the Reddit, but you will soon realize you only really need the top right corner of these so-called layouts, and then the rest will simply involve covering a large portion of the garden in storage tanks and standard collectors, and one designated horticrafting area. When setting up your garden network, it doesn't really matter what you have linked to what, as long as everything is tied in with a wire and you connect to different objects via pylons, ending up with a network for each respective seed color. These networks can be seen with their designated colors lighting up when they have been attached to the network. For efficient plotting out of storage tanks, the only limiting factor is the fact pylons can only connect to 4 objects at a time. So to plot out storage space, simply create layouts like these, where you go 4 storage tanks deep, connect a pylon to each respective row of tanks, tie the respective rows into one pylon, and then connect the storage tanks to the rest of the system. Now when looking at the Lifeforce numbers, you will notice the amount of Lifeforce grows with both the tier of seed as well as the level of the seed. This results in one being able to accumulate a large amount of Lifeforce in a single harvest, as well as requiring a large amount of Lifeforce to grow these seeds to begin with, which is why a large part of your garden will be storage tanks. This is also when you can start getting to create horticrafting station. Initially, when entering maps, it seems like unreachable that you'll be able to create a horticrafting station, but soon you'll realize when you get to higher tier seeds and higher level monsters, you will get more than enough life force to create many horticrafting stations. These stations are important for storing valuable crafts you may not be able to use right away for later. These stations can store a maximum of 3 crafts and cost you 1800 life force to create. Eventually, you will begin to accumulate many horticrafting stations, and it may become hard to find the specific craft amongst the many stations you have. I would recommend picking up the stations once they have been filled with 3 crafts, and placing them in a random stash where you can then search bar them to find a specific craft you are looking for. Hopefully this short breakdown of Harvest really helped you out. In review, it's pretty simple. The collectors are what you plant the seeds around. The dispensers and storage tanks are solely about making that top right corner area where you can do your T2 through T4 seed crafts. You won't get it that often, so it really doesn't matter if you have a specific spot for T2, T3, or T4. You just have one plot for all 3 of them and you'll be fine. The horticraft stations are for storing your crafts when you need to store some things. The pylons are simply for connecting the whole network together, and then when it comes down to it, you harvest T1 seeds from maps. Eventually you'll drop T2 seeds from those, which will drop T3 seeds, which will eventually drop T4 seeds. It's not really that complicated once you think about it that way. Hopefully this explains the mechanic well. I appreciate you guys watching the video. You have an excellent day, my friends.